Колеги, доброго дня. Український кризовий медіатор.
Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. The UCMC continues its work. I would like to invite the chief of the main department of the personnel of the General Staff of Ukraine, Major General Voronchenko, and he will inform us about the work of the General Staff with the personnel. Good afternoon to everyone. As of today, the sixth wave of mobilization is completed. It was planned. The personnel which was recruited is now joining the military units of the armed forces of Ukraine. Also, we continue the planning rotation of the personnel of the third wave of mobilization. 29,971 persons were dismissed, were to be dismissed. Now we dismissed 18,000. The whole personnel that has served there already will be dismissed. As to receiving the servicemen who are returning, who are signing the contract, 10,092 persons have signed the contract. Talking about official losses in the armed forces of Ukraine, the figures are the total official losses 1,915 persons. Out of them, 1,757 are military. Sanitary losses are 7,053 persons. Out of them, military sanitary 5,547. The missing, we have 271 person missing, and 76 soldiers, sergeants and officers unfortunately are in captivity. As to paying to the families of those who were killed, paying the monetary compensation, as of now, 1,000. The compensation was paid to 1,657 families. Now we continue work on considering the documents at the Commission. We still have 78 packages of documents which are under consideration. All the personnel who gave their lives for Ukraine, they will not be forgotten, and all compensations will be paid to the families of those who were killed. As to sanitary losses, 2,338 persons received compensations, and also all those wounded all those who were wounded will receive the compensation. There are some disputable issues related to payments, but everything is considered by the Commission. There was one case when the serviceman voluntarily left the military unit and was killed during the car accident. We're considering such case, and such cases are usually considered by the court. As to awarding the personnel that demonstrated heroism, they are encouraged and they will be encouraged. The presidential awards are issued to 4,568 persons. 5,065 persons from the Ministry of Defense and 2,831 persons received the special award medals. This process is also going on. We will not forget anyone. All those who deserve them will be awarded with all the honors. There were questions in mass media about our recordings, and I can report on all this. If you have any questions, you're welcome.
Журналісти чи
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, please don't forget to represent yourself. 1+1 TV channel, how do you encourage servicemen to conclude contracts, and whether there are sufficient number of applications to the contract service? Currently, the issue of concluding more contracts for the army service in the Ukrainian armed forces is discussed very broadly, and unfortunately we deal with an enemy who potentially can mobilize up to 3 million servicemen, Russia, and that's why the issue whether we should make our army purely enrolled by contract is very disputable, and that's why we probably will have combined army, that is by agreement and by enrollment. And as for one-time payment, one-time lump sum to be paid when concluding the contract, but this requires the special changes to the legislation. Currently in the Verkhovna Rada we have a draft law which allows to conclude a contract by 6 months, and there is now some 1,000, some between 4 and 5,000 people who would like to conclude the contracts up to 6 months, and Verkhovna Rada is unable to pass this draft law, while now there is the time of demobilization for the third wave of those who were mobilized, and at this very moment we should have this possibility to conclude contracts. Otherwise we will simply lose this well-trained and experienced servicemen. And by the way, I would like to remind you that within the last 18 months, the armed forces has grown considerably in terms of numbers and in terms of quality, and we have to preserve this. Any further questions? No further questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Igor, and this briefing is over. Our